The Area Truck Series playoffs continue, this time round 16-17 at Richmond Raceway, the 3/4 mile short track in Virginia that puts on a great show every fall when it comes to NASCAR season. But today, it's the springtime, and it's time for the Area Truck Series playoffs round 4 of 5. Tonight, we eliminate 4 of our 8 remaining competitors and whittle down to the final 4 that will head on to Nashville and compete for a championship. Hi everybody, my name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian DeCuna this evening for a 150-lap race around Richmond Raceway. Finian, welcome aboard. It's a nice night. Got the lights on already. Last night we were just finishing as dusk came around. Tonight, though, we're racing into the dark and eliminating 4 of our 8 playoff competitors.
Yeah, I was going to say, it is a good night so far. It's not going to be a good night for the 4 cars that are going to be eliminated coming into tonight. And I always love these elimination rounds. There's a lot on the line. Last night, it came down to the wire. We had a tie. In this series, though, there's some guys that I wouldn't say they're guaranteed to be in, but they're looking pretty good. David Weishart, you can effectively say he's going to be into the next round. He's got 42 points back to the cutoff. Hartz, Becker, and Slaughter, really for them, as long as they have a good night, which I'm sure their competitors are going to try to make sure they don't have a good night, they should be going in.
Yeah, looking at this playoff picture, it's pretty clear to see that 2nd through 4th, very close in the championship standings, but really fundamentally the thing that matters is Brad Slaughter's plus 14 over the cut line and Jordan Hurley's minus 14. Everybody's kind of within striking distance of each other, but that cut line is pretty far apart between Hurley and Slaughter. So for Bell, Grant, Wineland, and Hurley, it's almost a must-win situation tonight, Finian, unless it's extremely chaotic. 24 trucks around here, 150 laps. Who knows what can happen, but it's going to take a lot more than luck alone to get those drivers in there. They're going to have to get lucky and be good tonight, and those two things are challenging to get together.
Yeah, taking a look at the team standings here, Jacob Bell Racing leading just a little bit over David Weiss. Her Racing, that team is still looking for their first win of the season. Let's see if they can get it done here tonight. Sci-Fi Racing, RLC, and 5 White Esports rounding out your top 5.
Richmond, Virginia, population about 230,000 people. Of course, this racetrack was constructed way back in 1946. Originally, the racetrack was named Strawberry Hill until the complex was purchased in 1999. Headed down to the racetrack now. We're about 5 minutes away from practice completing, and your timing and scoring on the left will show you your playoff competitors. Those lit up in blue are on the playoff table. You see David Weishart, Ryan Hartz towards the top of that list. Brad Slaughter Jr. in that number 8. All he has to do tonight, have a really good night, and he'll be all clean and green. He won't have to worry about much. If Brad Slaughter Jr. has an okay evening, he's good. Same with Weishart, same with Hartz. Now, coming into the picture here, though, of course, we have to consider the rest of the standings here and the drivers that won most recently. Think of James Scioli last time out. Well, Scioli isn't a part of this playoff picture. Could he perhaps be a factor in this one tonight? He's 4th in the standings here right now.
I think he definitely could be a factor. I mean, he's really just got to have a decent, really, it relies on two things. It's him having not just a decent night, a really, really good night, almost needing a win to lock themselves in. If not, then having the other competitors have just really awful evenings. And we've seen that in the past, guys making mistakes, getting penalties, especially if you think about it, getting a pit road penalty here, like speeding, having to be, 40 seconds in the box, stop and go, whatever. It's going to cost you 2, 3, even 4 laps down. Once you're that many laps down, you're effectively going to be out of it. So really for the guys who are in the top 4, Hartz, Beckner, and Slaughter at the moment, they just need to make sure they have a decent night and not get a severe penalty that puts them way down the order, because that could be when Hurley, Bell, Grant, and Wineland all pounce back. But really, those bottom 4, if I'm them, try to just go for the win. That's going to be your best bet of getting yourself into the playoff picture.
And if you're in the top 4, the only thing you're really concerned about is one of those bottom 4 getting that win, because then it really matters where you are in terms of the positions. Having a look here again at the driver points. If Jordan Hurley wins the race tonight, and he could, he's 2nd in practice right now, think of where that cut line shifts to. It'll be Hartz, Beckner, and Slaughter separated by 2 points effectively coming in. So if one of those bottom 4 drivers wins, it totally changes the picture, and it's going to make Hartz, Beckner, and Slaughter have to fight for every last scrap. So everybody is hoping in that top 4 that one of those bottom 4 drivers doesn't get in there and muddy things up. David Weishart, the only driver that can really breathe a sigh of relief with a 42-point advantage, he's good to go. He's going to move on to Nashville without too much trouble.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot better for him tonight than last night. Last night got eliminated, and just last 2 races for him, the Cup Series, just abysmal. Here in the Truck Series, doing significantly better. He's also looking pretty good tonight, 3rd on the timesheets. Again, Hartz leading with Jordan Hurley 2nd, with Brad Slaughter for them. See 4 of the top 4, all playoff drivers, with Bell, Wineland, Grant, and Beckner. Beckner way down the order in 16th. He's going to up. He actually just upped his page over to the next page, but he's back down in 16th. He's definitely going to need to pick up the pace.
And here's the story with Travis Beckner that we've kind of seen time and time again. Doesn't seem to practice all that fast, doesn't really ever seem to qualify very well, but when push comes to shove, he is there. Now, last night, he was there, Finian, and then he wasn't, and that was the big story right at the tail end of the race. He slipped out of the Area Cup Series playoffs just at the very end and fell out of the picture. So tonight, his goal is just to not do the same as he did last night and hope that he can move on to Nashville. But it's not a panic moment just yet, and he did move up to 8th, by the way, while we've been talking about him. But we get to the tail end of the race, and let's say that Hurley's leading the thing. He's got to make sure he doesn't throw it away over driving the truck.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing, is just not over driving and watching our equipment. If we do get a green flag run, which again, we were very clean and green last night, again, the trucks, it's a different vehicle, so it might be a little bit different, and especially depending on how angry these guys get tonight, if we start seeing a lot of payback, we could potentially see a lot of cautions.
Yeah, 24 trucks here this evening. And of the playoff competitors, it was Beckner that was the lowest driver on the grid, but now it's Garrett Grant in the 46. Now, when you look at drivers that have to win, Garrett Grant, of course, going back to the points, is one of those drivers that really effectively needs a win to move on. Here's the good news. The last time the Area Truck Series was here, he won.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good thing that he's going to be hoping for as he's drifting down the back straight. I don't even really think that's the fastest way around Richmond. He's actually doing a pretty good job.
I was going to say, doing a great job showing car control or truck control for a little while at least.
He's going to have to pick it up in the timesheets as well. We're talking about, again, it doesn't really, you're not getting points for practice. You do technically get a bonus point for qualifying and on pole and qualifying, but the points are mainly going to be paid on the race. So if you have good race pace, especially over a long run, should it come by, that's where you're going to see a lot of these guys benefit.
Practice is complete here at Richmond Raceway. At the top of the board, it is Ryan Hartz, Jordan Hurley, and David Weishart. They're all going to qualify in just a moment's time and head out on the racetrack to get the starting lineup set. Fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all Area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use the new Area iRacing emotes in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise, but you can only do that at twitch.tv/Area iRacing. Qualifying underway, 10 minutes on the board as we get a look at the racetrack again here, fitting 14 degrees of banking. Last night, we thought we'd see a trouble spot, specifically at the exit of Turn 2. Bottom left of your screen, you can see the rubber from last night's Cup Series race arcing into that inside wall. Now, I don't think it'll be as big of a deal here in the Truck Series tonight. A lot less horsepower, a little bit more downforce that we're working with, but we didn't see as much trouble as we thought last night. There was a lot of almost crashes, but not a lot of actual crashes. I wonder if tonight will be similar.
Again, I really think it's going to come down to how much these guys are driving in anger, both, just how much they're pushing their machinery, because that's the thing where we're really going to see a lot of the spins happens when these guys are pushing their boundaries, and I think also, again, just obviously pushing into each other physically on the track. Depending on, the circumstances, especially the guys in the playoffs, how desperate they're going to get, that might determine a lot of what we see for a lot of cautions. But like you said, I agree that in theory, we shouldn't see these guys struggle a lot with handling, but you never quite know.
David Weishart, first driver to put a lap in the books, and should be the first driver to put a second lap in the books. Times are on the left-hand side of the screen. Fastest on top, slowest on the bottom. Cody Cutrer at a 22:41, and now gets dethroned by Weishart at a 21:934. Track record coming into the night was a 21:876 by Cameron Hearn, 123.423 miles an hour. And Cody Cutrer goes fastest, but not quite the track record just yet.
Yeah, not quite. Looking at some other guys on the track, Brad Slaughter, he's come and completed his attempt. He's going to be fourth at the moment. I see Colin Fambro out, but actually not a whole lot of guys getting out on the track. A lot of guys being patient, waiting, I think, to see what their competitors put up first.
Colin Fambro on track in the number 18. Big slide for him at a Turn 2. Gathers it up. That'll be a throwaway lap anyway, so shouldn't be a big concern. Looks like everyone's run faster on their second lap. That means Fambro's got a second chance at this here.
You can argue, if anything, he's gotten the tires warmed up.
He has done that.
after that little half spin.
Up onto the back straightaway, a little bit cleaner that time through. Love the way these things slam down. These have the old kind of Gen 4 stock car handling characteristics, going off into corners where the truck lifts up on exit and then kind of slams the nose into the pavement. And up to P3 for Colin Fambro. Good lap there. Cameron Hearn, previous record holders on track, 22:967, his first lap. Well, it was, see what lap number 2 holds for the 67.
Yeah, first lap not too particularly quick. I think just kind of building up the speed, warming up the tires. Now he's going to try to push here on lap number 2. We expect the 67 to be near the top of the order. Again, was eliminated in the last qualifying round. And gets loose off of Turn 4. He's going to have to bail out. That's going to be it for the 67. He's going to be starting from the back.
Ryan Hart's on track. The driver that is in pretty good shape when it comes to the playoffs, but you're never guaranteed. But he's more guaranteed than others. We'll just say it that way.
Yeah, you definitely are never guaranteed till the checkered flag falls. So for him, it's just a matter of making sure he gets to the checker flag in one piece and in a decent position. So far, so good through lap 1.
Into Turn 3 for Hartz. Again, riding that rim to try to build up momentum here for lap number 2. Up onto the front straightaway. First lap will put him at a 22:564. And we've generally seen that the slower you go on lap 1, the faster you go on lap 2.
Justin Munsell is watching him. Actually came up to 6th. He's going to end his qualifying effort. He also got loose off of turn 4. Been noticing a lot of guys getting loose on turn 4. I think just because they're pushing that rear end, trying to get the traction out of the corner. Ryan Hart's planted out of turn 4 and should be a good lap, and it's going to indeed be on pole.
21.877, 1/1000th off of the track record here.
Looking at Eric Wineland in the worst scenario out of the 8 playoff drivers here is 20 points out of the cutoff line. So he's effectively, gets loose off turn 2. He's going to have to bail out of that lap. And that was, like I was going to say, he needs to pretty much win here tonight.
That was his lap 2 also, so that's going to be a real poor effort. Yep, that's going to be it. And that was his first lap was exceptionally slow. Didn't really take a banker. He went real slow to bank everything on that second lap, and it's going to cost him big time. He's going to start basically tail of the field. Matthew Bell on his first lap.
Yeah, for those of you who've never heard that term before, banker lap, it's just really not necessarily pushing to your absolute limit, but putting in a decent lap. So when you try on lap number 2, in case you make a mistake, you have a decent lap to rely on. But we've seen quite a few of these guys, they're running up high, just throwing away that first lap entirely to try to get a good second lap in.
22.547 for Bell on lap 1. Travis Beckner's on track now. We'll jump to him next. He's already on his first lap. Bell enters turn 3, and he's up half a second. That would put him right around the 22 flat range. Out of turn 4, here comes the number 9, 21.907, and that will put him P2. Good run.
Really good run for the 9 of Matthew Bell. Is going to need a good run tonight. Also, Travis Beckner could use a decent run. Currently 13th on the timesheet, but lap 2's typically been quicker. A little bit sideways out of turn 4, and he will shoot his way up to P5.
Solid run there for Beckner. And A.J. Roderick's on his second lap now. So it looks like we might just miss pole unless one of these other drivers, might miss the track record, I should say, by 1,000th. If none of these other drivers eclipse it. Reinhardt's ran a 21.877. The track record is a 21.876.
Roger going to complete his qualifying effort, 22.189. Only going to be up to 14th. Notably, some guys, I'm a bit surprised they haven't put a qualifying lap down. Ray Slay in the 0.8, Jordan Hurley in the 5. I'm surprised they haven't put lap times down yet.
Eric Wineland is back on track, but he's already used up all of his allotted qualifying laps, so he's just getting in some practice here before the tail end of things. And going back to points picture, Eric Wineland is in a must-win tonight. He knows his goal. And, well, I shouldn't say that. This is, everyone in the top 4 and in the bottom 4 is so close that any one of these drivers having a particularly bad night or the one in the bottom 4 having a particularly good night could totally change how wild it is up at the top. The only gap that's big is between Weishart and Hartz and Slaughter and Hurley. So if that Slaughter and Hurley gap closes up from anybody having a misfortune or Hurley, Bell, Grant, or Wineland being up in front, it massively shifts the cut line scenario.
Yeah, again, that's what the guys in the bottom 4 are really hoping on, is that one of the guys in the top 3, other than Weishart, top 4, other than Weishart, has an abysmal night early on, gets wrecked out, has a major issue, major penalty, something to throw them way down the order. That's going to be their main opportunity to come back because we look at Rafe Slate out on the track. Yeah,
good looking truck here on the 0.8 tonight. Rolls up out of turn number 4. This will be his second lap. And this time through a 22.033. Pretty solid lap, puts him 8th. And Jordan Hurley on track. And he, based on his practice speed, could be the biggest threat to everybody in the top 4.
I was going to say he's definitely going to be the one out there looking for a win just to secure his spot. If not, he has the chance of just trying to get home a really solid night. Again, it depends where his other competitors finish. Currently lap 1 up to 18th at the moment. Obviously waiting on lap number 2, though he's got to perform here, make sure he doesn't make a mistake here.
And, well, had a discontinuity there. Hopefully that won't affect his lap. And across the line. Don't think it will count.
Yep, it did. 21.9 up to 6, so good effort for the 5.
It got lucky. Yeah, I was going to say, typically it won't count your laps if you have a moment like that, but So qualifying still active. There is still time for someone to get out there and run about one lap. That's going to be true for the next 20 seconds, and then it's game over.
Yeah, it looks like no one's out there in a particular rush to get on the track. So it looks like Jacob Bell, Carter Coop, Matthew Cochran, Tommy Ryan, and Jeff Ryan will all elect to not put a lap time down. Interesting choice there.
The only Ford in the field is Eric Wineland in a lonely 20th. He's actually going to be not as far back as I thought because there are 4 non-qualifiers, as you mentioned. For Wineland, that was a big issue there to not be able to get a clean qualifying lap in. That means he will start way down the order and have some work to do. He'll have to pass almost every truck on the night to be able to win, like is almost necessary to get the job done. And I think that's why we could see some extra aggression tonight, Finian, because last night you could race your way in. Tonight, I don't really think that's much of an option for those in the bottom 4. They're going to have to bank on going out and winning this race, and that might make them a little bit nose happy here in the early moments just to try to get their way forward. Because with a relatively small truck field tonight, 24, we could see a lot of green flag running, and that will limit your opportunities to advance.
Yeah, and I think we're definitely going to see stuff from like the Jordan Hurley, the best of the bottom 4. Actually, sorry, not the best. Matthew Bell is currently in the best position in 2nd place, and Jordan Hurley not too far behind in 6th. So I think between those two, we could see get really heated because both of those two guys are in a really solid opportunity to fight for the win. Guys like Wineland and Garrett Grant, they got a little bit more ways to go.
So we await the kickoff of our 16th race of 17 in the Area Truck Series season. Again, I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian DeCuna. We're going to roll through our Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup here in just a moment. But before we get into that, fans, be sure to visit Roasted Gems Coffee for some of the finest coffee from all over the world. Use discount code AREA iRacing for 10% off your order at roastedgems.com. All right, Finian, on the night, who you got winning this thing? I think I'm going to put my money squarely in the Hearts camp. Came off a win last night. I think he's riding a wave of emotional highs. I think that 3 truck goes to victory lane and solidifies his way into Nashville.
You and picking the pole sitter last 2
look,
nights.
It didn't work for me Monday, I will say that. But it could work for me tonight, so back off.
I think looking at this, I'm going to put the man in 2nd place. I actually think I picked the same guy, the 2nd place driver last night too. I think Matthew Bell is going to have a shot. I mean, again, he's in such a desperate situation. He's definitely going to try his best. Now he's got a really solid opportunity to win this race. I think he's going to have what it takes to get a win to lock himself in.
All right, heading down to the racetrack now, and it's about time for our Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup. Let's kick things off with row number 1, and the drivers starting on pole. Be the number 3 of Ryan Hart's playoff competitor. Coming off that win last night, as I mentioned, Matthew Bell is a driver hunting his way into that top 4. He's going to need a good run and some misfortune by those ahead of him. He starts 2nd.
Moving on back, row number 2, Cody Cutter is going to be starting on the inside in the 25 machine with David Weishart, leader in the points. He's going to be pretty much locked into tonight in the 33.
Row 3 is the 28 of Travis Beckner. He was eliminated last night. Could use an emotional high tonight. He will start P5 alongside Jordan Hurley, another driver below the cut line looking for a way in.
Colin Fambro is going to be rolling off in 7th place in the 18 with Garrett Grant, another player driver that needs to race his way in back from 8th place.
9th place, row 5 is going to be Rafe Slate, and the number 08, Brad Slaughter Jr. in the 8 truck starts 10th.
Moving on back to 11 is going to be Justin Munsell in the number 20 machine with Josh Taylor in 57 next to him in 12th place.
13th place is Jordan Martin in the number 11 truck. To the outside, Justin Anasogak in the 88.
Bryson is next going to be rolling off in P15 in the 09 with James Carrolley noticeably very far back in 16th place in the 7.
Last week's winner, could he be a factor again tonight? We'll have yet to see. AJ Roderick starts 17th in the number 56, and Bobby Tinch starts 18th, the number 66.
Cameron Hurd, after a poor qualifying effort, is going to be rolling off in the 67 and 19th. The next to him, Eric Wineland, another driver that wasn't able to get a good qualifying effort. And the worst off of all our playoff drivers, he's got a long night ahead of him.
Everyone from 21st on back did not qualify. Tommy Ryan will start in 21st, and then it'll be Matthew Cochran, Carter Coop, and Jeff Ryan wrapping up the rest of your field here from Richmond Raceway. Quick look at our race analysis here. It's going to be 150 laps, about 107.75 miles or thereabouts. And there's 24 drivers racing here tonight. All right, well, it's nighttime. That means that the weather is also going to be cooler than it was last night, just by a little bit, though. Air temp 75, track temp 76. No beautiful sunsets to look at this evening, but it's going to get wild enough out there on the racetrack. I don't think anyone will have time to view those anyway as the trucks roll off for their 2 pace laps.
Yeah, again, I think there's a chance for it to get very, very racy out here tonight with guys fighting their way into the playoffs. Guys just trying to get a win to get themselves into the playoffs. And in general, we see some anger and aggression, stuff that's been boiling up all season long. It reaches a boiling point here tonight, which is usually where it does happen in real life.
Short tracks are where you can give payback. They're where you can make people mad at you enough to give you a reason to pay back. It is an exciting place, Richmond Raceway. A couple of different lines might form tonight as well. Outside, middle, and inside. The 1 to green. Did the flagman give the 1 to green symbol? Did I just see that
no,
right?
he just, I think he just holds the flag get wrapped up.
Oh, no, he was itching. That's what he was doing. I was trying to figure out what was going on up there.
That's been Renish.
I was like, man, that's a cool detail. He's going to hold up the number 1 as they go around. I was actually thinking about that the other day. It'd be really neat if they could like hold up the 10 fingers with 10 to go and stuff like that. That'd be
or
neat.
like the cross for halfway.
Oh, man, it'd be cool. There's so much more they could do with the flagman, but I digress.
I still want more flagmen around the track, so especially the road courses. Waiting for that. They have them standing there, but they don't do anything.
Well, just like real life. All right, I kid. Time to go racing for the Area Truck Series playoffs from Richmond Raceway. The field stacked up, paired up, 12 rows deep. Green flag flies, and we're racing at Richmond. Lap 1 complete, Hart's Bell, Weishart, and more, and some smoke in the background. I think a couple trucks got in the wall, but now we're going to settle into some battles here on lap number 2. Here's the 25 of Cody Cartmer on the inside of Garrett Grant. Last time we were here, Garrett Grant was the winner at Richmond in the trucks.
Yeah, he's going to see if he can try to make that magic happen again. Cody Carter slipping on back. I was thinking on the initial start because Travis Beckner got involved. There's a big stack up on the inside lane. He got some rear-end damage. Colin Farmer was the one who rear-ended him, so damage to the nose of that 18, damage to the rear of the 28. Not too much, but just a little bit.
A lot of shifting and shuffling here early as drivers are trying to take advantage of the close proximity on the racetrack. And look at this, 7 of your 8 playoff competitors in the top 7 right now. The only one out is Eric Wineland, who's up a couple spots from the start into 17th place. Got a battle here for 6 between Brad Slaughter Jr. and Garrett Grant, and they come together.
And they were able to save it and ended up making contact out of turn 2. Not necessarily because one was tight, one was loose. They kind of just made contact on the same part of the corner. And Garrett Grant still looks like he's struggling to get off. Slaughter's going to win out of that. Whoa, 25 could have cut her around from the 18 of Colin Farmer. Gets hit. Oh, and the 25 is going to take revenge. 18's around, caution out.
And everybody scatters. The 18, the 11, the 25 are in it. Eric Wineland got through it. But that was a long time coming, that accident. Let's have a look how this all kind of kicked off.
Take a look at our sim round market replay here, heading off into turn 1. A bump from the 18 and the 25 corrects, and I don't want to say that he.
I think we can say what we're all thinking.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't want to necessarily blame him, but
he took some liberties straightening the wheel out, I think, and I guess fair play to him. I mean, he got drilled in the rear end, but right here kind of slides up, gets the 18, tags him. And then the 11 of Jordan Martin has nowhere to go. There's another accident in the background, by the way. We'll have to check in on that. Bryce Senesac involved.
So James Coelho clipping the 25. See Cameron Hearn drifting to a stop.
Yeah, so here's the other incident. Let's go back and there was a stack up on the entry to the corner that was completely separate. 09 gets into the back of the 88. That gets in the back of the 57. Wineland missed that by an inch.
Oh, got hit by Cameron Hearn. He was the driver that sent him back up onto the racetrack.
Wow, that was close. Woo. And then he had to dodge this one, too.
Yeah, did a good job just slowing down, making his way around, as well as a lot of the other drivers just slowing down, making their way around the lane that was available. But quite a few drivers with some contact.
So with that said, Eric Wineland is now scored in 11th. There are a couple of trucks took the liberty to go down to pit lane. Matthew Cochran, Scioli, then some of the drivers that were involved in the accident. Scioli included, Martin Senesac, Anna Sogak, Tommy Ryan, Cody Cutler. Cameron Hearn went 2 laps and left. Carter Koop did not start this race.
Yeah, Cameron, I think, decided to retire after he took a decent lick to Bryce Senesac on the nose, and I think figured, yeah, there's no point continue on after that. Call it a night. Colin Fambo's also going to be looking worse for where he's in the pits getting repairs.
It's like the officials thought the same thing we did. EOL to the 25. This was one of those scenarios where he didn't start the wreck, but he finished it. And that's what's going to stand there as far as the caution goes. Let's have a look at the 28. You mentioned there was an incident on the start. Don't see a lot of damage on that 28. He didn't come to pit lane either, so he should be in okay shape. Don't really see much here either, so he should be all right in a short track. I don't think it's a big deal. You can see the rear bumper pushed in just the slightest bit, but I don't think the front end damage is going to be much of a big deal.
I think you should be okay. The little crease to the rear. I mean, if there's any part of this car you want to get damaged, it's to the rear. That's where the air is going to reach lasting. And the spoiler is pretty important, but not too terribly important, especially on a short track like here. So you can afford to get away with quite a bit of damage there.
If you can get hit in such a way that it pushes the spoiler up, that actually might be an advantage here tonight. But not one I think you're searching to get. But this is going to tighten up the playoff field a little bit as we bring this back up. Let's show you again. All 8 of your playoff competitors on the, well, no, I lied. Who's missing? Nope, they're all there. All 8 with Rafe, Slate, Munsell, and Taylor kind of splicing into the mixture there. 1 to green on the pace truck. That means next time by, we're going back green. And Hartz chooses the outside lane. Finian, thoughts on that?
Yeah, interesting choice. I think he's figuring he can get a better launch up there, and then by the time he gets that launch, he can beat the 9 down to turn 1. I feel like that's a stunt. We'll see how it happens. Usually, we've seen it doesn't matter quite a whole lot, but see what it has in store.
Field coming back to the green here at Richmond Raceway. Hartz on the outside, Bell on the inside. Green flag, great start for the 3.
Yeah, and as expected, will come down clear ahead of the leaders. Now it's Matthew Bell and Jordan Hurley racing side by side for second. Hurley gets a great run out of the corner and will clear the 9.
And the 8 around the outside of Brad Slaughter Jr. Remember, he almost was nose first into the concrete, dodged that bullet, now moves up inside the top 5.
And here he's going to look back to the now Weiser going to look back to the inside of Brad Slaughter. Travis Beckner trying to follow in tow. Let's see, Weiser can clear out the corner. That run off on the exit on the outside is pretty good. Not as strong as we saw last night with the Cup cars, and you can see Slaughter trying to lose ground. Weiser through, here comes Beckner.
Beckner to the inside, and Rafe Slate watching. Beckner's getting into the corner really well, but watch the mid-corner speed there by the 8. Rolls the center and the exit a lot better than the 28 did. But this might be a futile fight. That 28 got there for a reason, and I think he's going to be able to complete this pass here in the next lap or 2, especially if he can pinch that 8 behind the 33 of Weishart.
And Becker is still stuck on that inside line. Rafe Slate thinking about poking his nose. One of the few guys kind of mixed along with the playoff drivers, trying to find his way on through.
Tell you what, that 8th truck's hanging station pretty tough on the outside there. Justin Munsell in the background got a nestled 46 of Garrett Grant up out of the way. This is a battle for 8th. Beckner just cleared Brad Slaughter Jr. up the road.
And Garrett Grant going to be clear of Munsell with Eric Wineland slotting in behind. The first few spots pretty single file at the moment.
Pretty tightly packed, though. No one's really driving away from anybody else. Jordan Hurley still in behind Ryan Hartz. And then there's Matthew Bell, who, again, just like all the others below that cut line, a win solves all, and he's close enough to strike late in a race. So I think Ryan Hartz is going to be paying real close attention to Hurley and Bell in particular, because both of those drivers need that win, and they're both right there, and I don't think they'd hesitate to take it from the three this evening.
Oh, absolutely not. I think, they're looking at it, obviously, with him pretty decent on the points. I think they'll not really necessarily wreck the three. Definitely move him out of the way, though, with not a whole lot of love loss.
But again, remember the playoff scenario is Hartz is good without one of those drivers winning. If they were to put themselves in a winning scenario, all of a sudden it matters a lot where Hartz is in comparison to the 28 and the other drivers up in the mix there, that Brad Slaughter. So it's really going to be interesting if the 9 or the 5 gets to the lead, and how desperate that will make the drivers that were above that cut line coming in. They thought they were safe, but they're only safe if one of those top 4 wins. That's a big dive by Matthew Bell, but couldn't get overlap.
Yeah, I'm sure again between these two is going to be a whole lot of action, a whole lot, not a love loss. I think they're going to potentially, I would be surprised if we see these guys getting into each other more as the night goes on, because they know that both of them are racing for that locked off playoff spot, because they're on the outside looking in. So we could see not a whole lot of love lost between the two before the night's over. And I'm curious for Hartz as well. We were talking about him, being concerned, because right now he's locked in, has nothing to worry about. If he does fall back, then he has to worry about those two pushing him out further out of the points. So I'm curious what Hartz's game plan is going to be, because he knows those two are going to be racing hard for the win. Does he risk those extra points, trying to keep those guys off, or what do you do in a scenarios like the Munsell Grant fights that they saw?
I think tonight, even Hartz, if you can reasonably defend your lead without making a fool of yourself, I think you got to do it, because here's the other scenario, is that with how close things are above and below the cut line, if Hurley or Bell were to win the race, more than one of those drivers below the cut line could get in based on where the other drivers are running. So it could totally flip things on its head if one of those bottom 4 gets up into the winning position. Otherwise, they don't have to worry about anything, really, when it comes down to it. So I think Hartz's biggest goal is to keep any one of those 4 from being in a winning position. Right now, the only thing he can do is lead. So if it requires being defensive, you're going to do that. I just don't think you're going to put yourself in a position to get crashed, because then you can't control it. Big slide, the 11 in the background is out of control. And more trouble.
Oh, Martin in the wall hard.
And he got help from the 18 of Fambro. And here's a look at this. He gets hit from behind. And then the 18 up the racetrack gets into him.
Interesting.
18's been at the forefront of a lot of incidents tonight already.
Particularly good. You can argue whether or not he's the cause of it or not.
I don't know that
fairly similar to the first incident.
Yeah, I don't know that second impact was actually intentional, but the first hit certainly looked very similar to the prior one. And at some point, you have to look at yourself and go, hey, the front end of my car's got a whole lot of dents. Is it everybody else, or is it just me tonight? But we'll see how that plays out. 25 laps complete. Hartz has led all of them.
Just to see when the 11 comes back around to the 18 what will happen again. As we typically see at short track racing. Oh, AJ Roger almost getting into the quarter panel with Garrett Grant. He's been constantly slipping back. And the leaders get close together near the front.
So 0.2 of a second between Hartz and Hurley, and then look at this train that's formed here. And it looks like it's pretty challenging to get overlap and to get past people, which is probably why we've seen the 18 be so aggressive on the brakes, is just to try to get some overlap. It's a situation we saw last night as well, where if you could pass people, you could pass 10 people. But if you couldn't pass people, you were stuck in the same spot for 100 laps.
Yeah, and I think, again, these guys are also realizing, too, it's still fairly early on the race. Got 150 laps, we're only on lap 28. So they got a lot of racing left to go. Don't want to use up your stuff and don't want to damage your stuff up too early on.
Weishart putting some pressure on Matthew Bell. As the background, Justin, well, there goes Jeff Ryan spinning, and caution flies.
Grimsby had some help with that.
He sure did. Justin Anisogak on the bottom of the racetrack, and that was a little bit of net code there, I think. They were running pretty seamlessly door to door. They just kind of popped sideways.
Yeah, Gallagher on the net code.
I don't think that was really going to be that dicey of a scenario. And Jeff got away without too much damage, so he'll continue. That brings out our second caution of the night. I think this will bring everyone to pit lane also at the 1/5 mark of this race. I don't know if you can quite make it on to the end on fuel, Finian. Last night we pitted at lap 60-something, and then we pitted and that was it. I think we'll see something similar tonight, but this might be a bit of a stretch. Here comes Hartz. The pit road light is on, closed still, but it mustn't. You see that?
Yeah, it is still looking to be closed.
But everyone came down to pit lane, so maybe that's not synced properly on our end.
I don't know. Maybe message to Kevin Zoo.
Yeah,
something's not working.
I guess so. What is working though is our sponsor segments. But I can't find it.
Then clearly not working.
I unloaded it while we're waiting for the pit stops to complete. Here we are. Hey, Simrat Market. We had a chance to look at a couple of their replays tonight. Fans, be sure to check out simratmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. On the racetrack right now, pit stops complete, and Weishart comes out where he went in, but Beckner real close to him.
Ooh, and notably, Jordan Hurley, he stayed out, and not only just to leading one lap, he's staying out again.
So what do you think about this? Because he's in a situation where he needs to win, basically. This is changing up the strategy, doing something a little different, doing everything. I mean, here's the other. I would have done this if I was running 10th. Not sure I would have done this if I was running 2nd, because he might have been able to outrun Ryan Hartz naturally, but now he's on this weird strategy that may or may not work. So I'm kind of indifferent on this. I think this would have been better if he had been running somewhere other than the front, but time will tell.
Yeah, time will definitely tell. I think he was just trying to see if he can get a bonus point for leading a lap. And I think also deciding maybe to save tires for later on in the run.
Need some Roasted Gems coffee there?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Fans,
I don't think it was as bad as it was last night.
Probably not. Yeah, I was really struggling last night before the broadcast. Fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Be sure to follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see who will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. We only have 1 week left of Area Cup Series racing. That will happen next week in Nashville, where all of our championship running will happen. Next week is the final week of the area series for the spring season. We'll take about a month break and be back and better than ever. And we're looking at redoing some graphics on our side, so it's to be some all new, shiny new things come March or April or so. That's an exciting thing for me to kind of rebrand after doing about 2-3 years of the same stuff. Good to kind of refresh everything a little bit.
Yeah, especially good. And you were just talking about it too. We're coming up on our 5-year anniversary of doing this.
Next Monday, actually, on the Area Cup Series finale.
And boy, has it changed a lot.
It has. Go back and watch any broadcast from 2018, and you'll see how far things have come. And even some shiny new things like graphics over B-roll. I could do that as of about 2 days ago. So that's a thing that people that haven't really seen the back end of how things work would say, oh, that's not all that impressive, but remember where we came from. Trucks paired up again. 2 drivers recorded as out. Jordan Martin is out for the night. He had a big impact there in the wall. Cameron Hearn is also out, and Carter Croup did not take the green. Time to get back to the green, though. This is lap number 35. Jordan Hurley is the leader. Green flag. We're back underway from Richmond.
Solid start for him. David Weishart trying to see if he can clear the inside for second place. Reinhardt's trying to fight back on that inside lane. Looks like Weishart should be able to get him on exit. Indeed, he will.
Travis Beckner getting roughed up a little bit from the 0-8 to Rafe Slate. And these two, no matter what series it is, they always seem to find each other on the racetrack.
Oh yeah, and they have a lot of heat between each other. You're talking about anger boiling over tonight. Here's a great place for it. They were even angry at each other last night. Racing in the Cup Series. We'll see if anything happens between them here. As for the lead, David Weishart trying to sneak his way up the inside of Jordan Hurley. Hurley with 30-lap old tires. Not sure how much he's going to be able to hold this off.
I don't think he will. Here comes Hartz to the inside as well. David Weishart will be the first driver other than Hartz or Hurley to lead a lap tonight. Critical points as well. factor that in. Not that Weishart needs them, but Hurley certainly did.
Here comes Bell trying to look up the inside, gets a little bit tight, has to back off. Now Brad Slaughter gonna move up just a little bit towards that outside lane. So Hurley is gonna be slowly dripping on back here. Gets tight off the corner, gonna hold off the 8 of Slaughter.
Beckner crosses over to the bottom. Will drive up underneath the 8 and underneath the 5, who's gonna get in the way of Brad Slaughter Jr. That's gonna create some tension, I think.
Oh, absolutely here. Hurley just trying to hold off for whatever he can. Brad Slaughter going to charge the corner, almost doors the 5. Just going to stay off of him.
Eric Wineland came up from 20th up to 9th. Is finally kind of in a spot where he can start passing people. He's going to drop to the inside of the 5, pick up a spot here, and be right essentially on the tailpipes of his biggest competitors once he gets by Scioli. Also, if you'd like to follow along at home with live timing and scoring, go to simtvbroadcasting.com, and then you can navigate to the timing screen section and watch live timing and scoring on an alternate browser tab.
There's also a link in the description.
There is a link that's been there for years and it didn't do anything until recently, so now it does. AJ Roderick moving by the 5 as well. This gamble plays off or pays off for Hurley if we end up using all our tire sets, which I don't think we're going to do. But maybe there's some alternate strategy here that I'm not considering.
I mean, I think a lot of that was just him just trying to make sure he led a lap. And I think now he's just kind of going to hope for the next caution to come out relatively soon so that he can get tires and then be back on sequence with everyone else. Because he clearly has the pace, obviously not at the moment. So he's betting on a caution coming out sooner rather than later.
Colin Fambro working alongside Josh Taylor. That is for 14th place. Garrett Grant and now Justin Anasogak size it up to 5.
Yep, and there's Garrett Grant getting on past Anasogak, now trying to have his way on through. Is also looking over his truck in the wall.
Josh Taylor got it pretty good, actually. There's some pretty significant damage to the side of that truck. Jordan Hurley gets way up the track in 1 and 2, and that's going to allow the 09 of Senesac to go on by.
Yeah, I'm sure he cannot wait for a caution to come out to change these tires off because he looks like he's really struggling out there right now.
And the danger is he goes a lap down under green. That's really the worst thing that can happen is you get trapped a lap down in off sequence. So he's already about 6 seconds behind the leader, which is about a quarter of the way to being a lap down. That's just about 10 laps after the restart.
Still continuing to drop as now Jeff Ryan's just now made his way on through, and I think I saw Colin Farrell hit the wall as well as Hurley tapping the wall just a little bit to catch back up to the leaders. David Weishart driving away from Hartz, Bell, and Beckner.
Yeah, Weishart comes into the night as the tied for the winningest driver on the season, tied with Hartz and Beckner, who both have 3 wins. The only other drivers that have wins this season, Gordon Hurley, Matthew Bell. Actually, Scioli has 3 wins as well, but he's eliminated out of the playoffs. And the only other driver that has a win is Cody Cutler. So Weishart could be the winningest driver if he wins this race tonight. Same with Hart, same with Beckner, same with Scioli. They all got to get there. Only one can win. Caution, Jeff Ryan.
And it's not gone well for the 37 so far. Ooh,
Whoa,
and some help.
Oh, man.
Oh, and gets hit by his brother.
Oh, boy, that was not ideal. And there's a lot of damage to that 99 truck. He came in there with a head of steam long after. Let's go back and see what contributed to this. Out of turn 2, he was a little high up the road, and then was there some contact here? Ooh, big dive from the 5.
There you're going to want to get another look at angle because there was some net code involved again.
Here's where he loops it around. Let's go back.
Oh, and there are some people calling foul to this.
I mean, this is a big lunge. I mean, sure, some net code there, but that was a pretty big lunge from a long way back for a driver that was on old tires. So I can certainly sense some frustration for Jeff Ryan.
So the people calling foul this because they feel that Hurley might have done that on purpose to bring out a caution that he needed.
Yeah, I can. I mean, look, I don't have my tinfoil hat on, and you know it's a big accusation on a competitor. But at the same time, you can only commentate what's in front of you. And he lunged from a long way back, knowing he has worse tires, so you can't rule that out. Leaders do not pit.
Oh.
Oh,
wow. Big news. Apparently the 5, he's not only going to get black flag for that incident, he's getting parked.
Yeah, I saw that coming. So Jordan Hurley eliminated from the playoffs and parked for the night. Yeah, I mean, you look at it again. I mean, you tell me, Finney, this looked to me like it was, you know, let's have a look.
It's kind of weird because it's within the realm of giving him the benefit of the doubt of him just trying to, you know, he's trying to make up positions. Just obviously, I would say, you know, he's definitely the cause for it.
Listen,
I won't argue with that.
Listen to the throttle on corner exit here at 2. The 37 misses the corner, and he has a big lift to stay behind the 37. So that is also curious, but the officials clearly thought one thing, and that's going to be how it is determined. But the 5 eliminated from playoff contention, and for a couple drivers, that's going to make them breathe a little of a sigh of relief because they won't have, that's one less driver to worry about winning and moving the cut line. Although Matthew Bell is still in that position, and he's P3 right now, still a threat.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's a bit of a sigh of relief for him because now he's just got to worry about himself for getting the win. Doesn't have to compete with Jordan Hurley, who was the main threat of trying to get this win, other than the playoff drivers themselves. So, interesting developments in this race.
Yeah, that's man, I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, it has been a long time.
And what is it with Richmond and itchy arms and all that? It just in particular, it is like this track is cursed to be
I think it's cursed in the way it is, and also where it was placed in the calendar. You know, being an important cutoff race always leads to conspiracy.
All right, well, with that out of the way, again, one less driver competing for the playoffs for the Final Four. Remember that the 4 drivers that are on top of those standings will advance to the Nashville finale next week. So Hurley was the closest. He is out, so now it's just Bell, Grant, and Wineland all trying to get a race win, move them on to the Final Four. Weishart, Hart, Spector, and Slaughter in positions right now that would grant them access to that final race. Matthew Bell is 2 positions shy of shifting that cut line by 1, in which Garrett Grant would be very interested in where Brad Slaughter ends up.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see where these guys all end up as pace trucks off, and we're getting ready to go green here. David Weishart, Hart, Spector, Bell, and Slaughter, your top 5.
Back underway from Richmond. 98 laps to go. Matthew Bell pushes up the racetrack there, a little bit wide there in turn 2. Brad Slaughter Jr. comes the long way around.
It's not clear yet, and Slaughter caught the wall just a little bit on entry. And he's now trying to still fight off Bell, charging hard on the inside lane. Curious to see how much Bell's going to force the issue here. Try to get past his competitor, one of the drivers he's trying to beat to get himself in.
Track position is so crucial tonight. Slide there on the exit for Bell, didn't get the drive he needed. Rafe Slate's just trying to figure out which lane he should take. He's got Eric Wineland breathing out his neck. Figure it out, boys, I gotta go places too.
And again, it's like one of those drivers just kind of out there, just looking to get some wins here to the end of the season, not racing for points, not racing for a championship. So I think he's trying to see if he can find his way on through without getting too involved.
Oh, gave the 8 a big break that time. Didn't dive underneath them. That will open the door for Wineland. Maybe Slate will try going the long way around. He's found some speed up there, maybe.
And maybe it'll gets tried to force the inside lane as Slate's trying to work around the outside. Can he get a mid-corner? He's riding on the right rear quarter panel.
Dangerous game to play as the 8 walks up the racetrack on corner exit. Bobby Tinch got a piece of the wall in the back straightaway. He continues on. There's a lot of drivers interested to see if this outside lane is viable. And Rafe is making it look like it's almost there. He's able to pull up about halfway up the truck, and then it kind of stalls out. But look at this lunge into 3. That's a good line for the 08. Now he pulls even and even ahead of the 8 for a bit.
And it's just really a matter of getting that drive off the corner, the drive that he needs off the corner. He's not quite able to get there. He's inching more and more, though, every single time, and especially looking good here through 1 and 2.
Colin Fambro's coming up with a big head of steam on fresh tires, I believe, as well. He's pit 4 times in this race, every time he's had the opportunity. No change up front, still Weishart by half a second. This is your best battle on the racetrack.
It's like he might get him this time. Slaughter had a check up in the middle of the corner, lost some speed. It's like gonna edge just a little bit ahead on the back straightaway, still side by side in 3 and 4.
It's like he gets a great run on the back stretch, but the front stretch, that time was a little bit better. He lunges into the corners. He's able to carry more speed on entry. And he's able to corner really well, but the drive here, right there, you see that 8 get up off the corner exceptionally well. But I can't tell who this is a losing battle for. It sounds like both of them. They're losing a lot of ground to Matthew Bell.
Yeah, they definitely are losing a lot of times battling side by side like this as he slowly inches further and further away, but neither driver wants to yield at the moment. Slaughter is saying, stop interfering with the playoff battle. Whoa, as Matthew Bell is really loose off 2, is halfway down the back straightaway.
That's a little bit loose. Putting Eric Wineland down a spot while they're all kind of watching this battle. Got overtaken twice. Scioli and then Munsell into the picture.
Yeah, everyone's got to checking up in behind the 8 and the 08 as they try to figure out who wants to lead this back. It looks like it's going to be Brad Slaughter. Now here comes Colin Fambro with the topsy-turvy night he's been. That car has been in rough shape. It's been somewhat repaired into decent shape.
He was just waiting for those two to sort it out because he's on fresher tires and really just needed the track to get single file. Didn't want to take it 3 wide there, but now he slots himself in between Slate and Slaughter. And Justin Munsell with a little bit of a head of steam here. I think he's also on at least 2 fresh tires.
Yeah, trying to see if he can poke his nose through, as well as James Scioli, and actually even AJ Broderick now starting to move up the grid.
Broderick in the background. There's Cody Cutler in the 25. Lingering in the backdrop and all getting by Eric Wineland, who's going the wrong direction here right now. And his playoff hopes have almost slid away a couple of times this season, and tonight this is where it might be the end.
Side by side with the 25, Cody Cutterer got passed by Scully a few laps ago, and now it looks like the 25 is going to narrowly poke his way on through.
Roderick to the inside of the 08. The Hunter becomes the Hunted. We see this a lot. We saw this a lot last night too. If you got rooted up out of the groove and the train started rolling and you weren't able to jump on it, you went backwards a lot. But now he slots in behind the 56. And the lead has grown for David Weishart, by the way. Leads by 1.3 seconds, and then it's Hartz and Beckner in close proximity. Then Matthew Bell, who's driven away from Colin Fambro, now sets his sights on those top 3 again.
Yeah, he's been kind of, for the most part, he's been pretty much staying on par with those two, catching them a little by little each lap. As Cody Cutter and James Scioli are now duking it out side by side. And Scioli, as soon as he appeared in the top 10, he's now leaving it.
Comers and goers, but that's taking it to the extreme. Pop in, pop out, come in just for dessert, and then leave.
So he looks like he's going to find his place in behind the 25. Cody Cutter looks like a driver potentially on the move, as well as AJ Roderick and Justin Munsell as they're catching up quickly to Colin Fambro.
I think a lot of those things those drivers have in common is they're all on pit lane a lot more recently than the majority of the field. Justin Anasogak and Garrett Grant. Garrett Grant is not having a particularly good night, considering that he was the winner here last time out. Just hasn't had the speed in that 46 truck, running 14th right now. Started 8th and has just dropped from the start.
Yeah, definitely not the night he needs, and probably not the night he wanted either, especially consider his history of winning here not too terribly long ago, and would love to get another win here. Oh, going to tap the back of Anasogak and send him off in the corner, and you see Josh Taylor almost wipe out on the inside.
Josh did a great job. He actually saved the 46. He was in there deep, and when the 46 checked up, he was able to slow his momentum as well. James Scioli watching Cutrer and Rafe Slate battle. They're going to get together at the exit of turn 2. Little lateral slide from the 25 5-wide sports truck. Big lunge into 3. They're going to make contact again. Oh, more contact.
More contact on exit. Going to send Slate up to the top side near the wall. And James Scioli is going to sneak his way on by. And Eric Wineland also is going to try to sneak his way on by.
And used up there a little bit was Rafe Slate. He'll log that one in the mental memory book. He dove off into 3 so hard. I think he's driving a little hot right now. How can you not be after getting kind of run through? Just the lightest of nudges. I mean, it's short track racing. That'll happen, in the words of Denny Hamlin. But you know, sometimes it'll really set the fuse off if you're having a frustrating night to begin with.
It's short track racing, right?
That's just short track racing. Matthew Bell under fire from Colin Fambrough. Whereas we approach the halfway point of this race, good run by the 18 to the bottom of the 9. Not what Bell needs, though. He needs to move forward, not back.
Yeah, this is not too surprising considering a lot of the guys that came in, took some tires, are starting to make up some decent ground on the leaders. Bell just one of the first drivers to fall prey to this, and Colin Fambrough looks like he's going to narrowly make his way on through. Indeed will. Here comes Justin Munsell now.
Munsell trying to capitalize on it. Munsell's had a pretty quiet night. Started 11th, running 6th now. Was thrilled to chat with us last week after Auto Club. And moving his way towards the podium tonight as well, to the inside of the 9, who's dropping quickly. And again, this all comes down to the more recent pit stops, I think, these longer runs. But from here to the end, you're good on fuel, Finian. So when do you commit? We've had a couple of yellows so far. I think 3 to be exact, 3 or 4. 3 cautions. So do you wait on a caution happening, or you just bite the bullet and expect it to go green as we've just now hit halfway?
I think these guys may want to go maybe halfway through their run and maybe come in. I would say maybe even go a little bit further than that, because when you pit here, you're going to lose 2 laps. So you're not just going to be able to make up 1 lap, make up all of those laps on the way around. You're going to get one of those back. So it's a big risk to come in early and then have a caution come out, because it can really, really mess you up and put you a lap down. And depending on what time of the race that caution does finally come out, you could be in a bad situation. So I'm curious to see how long these guys are going to wait. I would say cut this fuel stint in half and maybe come in. Yeah, so 74 laps to go. The leaders have run about 45 laps on their tank of fuel and their tires. So you're going to be looking at pit stops in, what, 10, 15 laps? So maybe lap 90 or so? I think 90, 95 might be a decent time to come in. Should give them enough time to try to use those tires. Well, that's the big thing, too, is giving yourself enough of a window towards the end of the race that you can actually use the fresh tires that you come in for and not wait too long.
Josh Taylor and Rafe Slate battling into turn 1. Rafe has really gone backwards after fighting the 8 of Brad Slaughter Jr. up on the outside. Wasn't able to complete that and has since just dropped like a stone back to 14th place.
You're definitely a driver that could probably benefit from getting 4 fresh tires. I'm sure he would love for caution to come out. Oh, I think Colin Fambrough is still making some moves. We're going to give a bit of a bump to Beckner in the 28. Trying to muscle his way on by.
Oh, this will be interesting. You don't want to ruffle Beckner's feathers. Fambrough has not been shy to rough folks up tonight. And he'll drop to the inside and see if he can make this one work. 70 laps to go next time through. And this is going to go by quick. Only 27 minutes of racing left. This is going to go by very, very fast if we go green to the end. Justin Munsell watching all this from 5th.
I was going to say, and I think for Fambrough, I think this is him just, I don't think he's going to have a whole lot of love lost here between himself and Beckner. Just wants to have a solid finish. He hasn't had a top 5 since Iowa.
Been a while.
Back in October, so.
Justin Munsell will take the opportunity to drive by the 28 as well. Slightly different strategies there, so no panic yet for the 28. And I don't think any panic in general. Again, if the 9 doesn't win, or the 21 or the 46, Beckner's more than good in terms of the playoff picture. But he could lose out by dropping down to 19th or 20th, but I just don't see that being super likely.
Well, considering 19th and 20th are 5 and 17 laps down respectively, he's looking pretty good at the moment. And even then, one of the big competitors, Jordan Hurley, is out being disqualified. Matthew Bell, he's running okay. I think Matthew Bell's really the biggest threat, because that'll force a battle between Hartz, Beckner, and Slaughter for that final spot if one of those other guys win. Again, the race is still young. If we do get a caution, you can see a lot of things change.
Yeah, Bell was a bigger threat earlier in the race, though. He hasn't been much since that pit stop. As Wineland drops another position, he has just not had a lot of speed tonight. Drove up inside the top 10 earlier, but I think used up the tires and now doesn't have a lot to respond with. The laps continue to click away here, and it's been mostly Ryan Hartz and David Weishart dominating this one. Weishart on the second run, Hartz on the first. And Cody Cutler moving forward still. Has a look here at Brad Slaughter Jr.
Yeah, Brad Slaughter has been falling off just a little bit, but as you see, Cutter trying to come back in him. But again, Slaughter can afford a little bit to kind of fall back. Doesn't need a whole lot of fight for it. Again, as long as Matthew Bell doesn't win this race, he's looking good. There's about a 15-point gap between them as they run. Ooh, Bell coming down to pit lane.
All right, Matthew Bell first to crack. And this is around the time when I thought we'd start seeing drivers come on down. So Matthew Bell will be the first one, and there's a risk involved with this, certainly, but there is a reward in the short term. We'll see how it'll play out for the 9.
Yeah, I think he needed to do something. I think I think if he kept following what everyone else is doing, I don't think anything good was going to happen to him. I think he coming down, getting on a different strategy, maybe forcing some other guys to reconsider a strategy, I think it would help him out a lot.
And then the downside of this is that the race goes green to the end from here, and then he's going to get run over later in the race and never have a chance to recover. So there's a risk involved, but I think you're right. I think he had to try something. And he's back out on the racetrack now with a 4-tire stop. 1 lap down. And Weishart's just entering. So it's about a lap and a half down.
Yeah, the big thing, though, is that he's at least only 1 lap down. If he was 2 laps down, he would be he would definitely need to make sure he got at least one of those laps back driving through. But 1 lap down, again, if caution comes out, he can just take the wave around and put himself back with everyone else.
Well, or
if he can do.
If you were to get it right now, he'd get the free pass, which would be even better.
Yes.
So that would put him in contention to be the leader of this race should we get a caution.
Well, no, but remember the free pass to get me well.
Oh, dang it. Some NASCAR rules. Cody Cutler swinging out to the inside of Scioli. That is for, actually, Scioli got around him. So give the spot to the 7. No other takers on pit lane just yet. Bobby Tinch came on down, but he's been down there for a minute or so fixing some damage. And we're now 60 laps to go next time by the stripe. So your counter is winding down here, Finian. So this is when things start to happen really fast. Unless you start getting cautions to slow things down.
Yeah, and again, I'm curious to see what these guys do. If they're going to start to come down pit lane, maybe wait a little bit longer, waiting for that caution to happen. But the more you wait, the more of an opportunity you potentially lose out on by not capitalizing. Especially the guys trying to chase down Weishart. He's got just over a second lead. So you maybe Hartz, Colin Fairmill, Munsell, one of them make a daring move.
Justin Munsell. Oh, excuse me. I thought I was looking at Munsell for a moment. AJ Roderick is running Beckner down now. Munsell's driven away from Beckner about 1 second. He's actually putting some pressure on the 18 of Fambro for 3rd place. And actually, the strategy that these guys are playing, the 18 and the 20, it really has worked out in their favor now. And they can pit with everybody else and essentially keep that track position that they gained on the tire game. Or they can wait a little longer than the rest of the field and have a little extra tire for the end of the race as well. But neither of those drivers are playoff competitors and won't really have an impact on the playoff picture.
No, but like you said, it was a really, really good call because they've been put in a good situation where they really can't lose. I mean, there's not a whole lot of laps to the point where we're going to use up every single tire, so they're not really using up a whole lot of tire sets in general. So took a good advantage of that caution, which benefited them quite a bit, putting themselves in 3rd and 4th respectively. I think they restarted about just outside the top 10, so we gained quite a few positions doing that.
Fambro and Munsell, their battle's heating up here just a little bit. We approach lap 100. Still no other taker, so the 9 really did jump the gun there, though, but he's running quicker. Have a look. He's in some traffic now, but last time by was a 22.488. That was only about 2/10 off his best lap of the race, and that was a full second and a 10th faster than the leader the prior time around. And even in traffic, he's still going a lot faster. So he's going to pop out, Finian, probably leading this race or very close to leading this race once everyone else pits. And
Weishart.
David Weishart is on down on pit lane.
Weishart answering the call. You see now that the leaders come down, you can expect that a lot of the guys are probably going to be thinking of coming in if they weren't already.
I think this is going to set off really the rest of the group here. Ryan Hart's off onto turn number 3, and have a look here at Hart's stint. 65 laps, and this is basically that halfway point, as you mentioned. 65 laps on the tank, 65 laps to go. No other takers that time around, though. Jeff Ryan did come down, but he's 7 laps down. There's Munsell past Fambro here. This is for second.
Through diving into the corner, Munsell's going to clear for position. Fambro back to 3rd place, and not a whole lot of other takers. I'm a bit surprised Rice Slate has come on down.
Eric Wineland, Justin Adesogak, they're trading spots. Wineland is a driver that should probably be sounding the alarm at this stage, because not having the best night on speed, and not really in a position to do much about the strategy either. And he's going to get himself put in a pretty tight box here before too long. And again, as I mentioned, the playoffs have almost slipped away from him a couple of times, and tonight you don't get any more chances.
Yeah, absolutely. I think really Wineland should have, combined names here. Wineland should have come down with Matthew Bell, I think. Just again, he was kind of in a situation he needed to throw a Hail Mary out and see how it worked. So far, working for Bell, he's got just about a straightaway on Weishart as Brad Slaughter's come in.
Brad Slaughter Jr. on pit lane, again, one of those top 4 playoff competitors, and just in need of having a solid night. He is doing that as of now as Hartz comes across the start-finish line. He's led a lot of laps. He's led 34 of the 150, and Weishart, who's back on the racetrack, has led 59. So that most laps led point is still up for grabs. Let's consider that as well as it comes to moving on in the playoffs.
Whoa, Hartz was wrecked down on pit lane.
Hartz is there. Let's have a look.
A lot more interesting than I think he wanted it to be coming down.
You don't really want it to be a storyline when you hit pit lane. Here he comes. Whoa, big tank slapper. Almost caught the barrels as well. But he did get it woed down, and we'll head off to the pit box as Justin Munsell takes over the lead. So now I'm interested to see where Munsell and Fambro pit, because they're about 20 to 25 laps better on tires and fuel than everybody else. But you need to give yourself time to use those new tires. And now that the leaders pit, Finney, maybe I'd give it 2-3 more laps and then I'd come. I wouldn't go too much longer than that, because there's not that much time left in this race.
And actually, here comes, there you can see in the background, there comes Matthew Bell coming on through to unlap himself as he's driving on through these guys. And I'm curious now for Bell. I guess now for Bell, really, he's going to have to hope that this race goes green.
He hasn't even led a lap yet tonight. And remember, he's trying to really just end up winning this race. I don't think the points are going to do much for him.
No, it's not.
Oh, Roderick in the background. Big slide. The 33 had to dodge him. Here's what that looked like on board the 33.
You can see the huge speed differential with Weishart on the new tires and coming off the corner. 56 having to kind of slow down, and sort of the 33 had to jump on the brakes.
So let's also
Matthew
consider another data point here, that those that pitted on lap 50 or so can probably make it to the end on fuel. That would include Munsell, Fambro, Roderick. Actually, Scioli can make it, so can Cutler. Actually, everyone in the top 10 can effectively make it on fuel from their previous pit stop. I didn't really consider that, Finian, but they pitted a lot more recently, and they're really set. So that means that Matthew Bell is going to have to run them down a long ways back.
But the tires, though.
The tires are going to be awful, but you have to run them down all the way around the racetrack. That's 23 seconds worth of time, and Bell still, he's down 19 seconds. We'll keep our eye on him.
He's catching them at almost a second a lap, so he's catching them at a pretty significant rate. Again, his pace is going to slow down too, but the leaders, their tires are going to be next to a shot by the time they come to the end of the race, because a lot of them, they only took, I don't even think some of them even took tires, actually. Looking at Munsell and Roderick, they only had 4 or 5 seconds in the box respectively, so they definitely didn't take tires. Colin Fambro, it looks like he got full service.
Weishart, by the way, half a second behind Matthew Bell, so that's going to be the battle for what would cycle to be the lead otherwise. And Ryan Hart's 4.3 seconds back, so he lost some time on that pit window. As Munsell and Fambro get close again, this is half a second, coming up on 40 laps to go. And the 9, 18.6 seconds back. So Finian, the tire difference is going to degrade as we get closer to the end, but it's still a full lap. That's a lot of time to make up in any case. And he's got the 33 breathing down his neck. So He's going to have to hope for a yellow at some point because he's going to get passed by this 33, and then the win goes out the window.
You see how hard he's going to fight for it here. Here comes Weishart looking to the inside. Battle for 10th place at the moment. And Weishart's just going to clean his way on through. There's Bryce Senizak in the 09, a lap down on fresh tires, not working his way on through. So Bell did not put up much of a fight, not as much as I would have thought he would.
No, and again, he's going to require a caution towards the end of this race because he's just not going to have the tire to compete with anybody else. A little bit of drama's back here. Oh, the 08 and the 25, they're coming together. That was really dicey.
That might be a caution right there between those two. Not sure why the aggression, because they're not even racing at the same point on the track. Rafe Slate's a lap down at 15. Cody Cutter's in 6th on the lead lap.
What was going on there then? He almost like Rafe was going to drive through him on the back straightaway. Gave him a huge shot. Wonder if there was more to that. I don't think so. Rafe came from a long way. Oh, right here. The 21 gets into the 25. And then Rafe's coming, and the 25 kind of throws a little bit of a block on him, maybe. And Rafe just expresses his displeasure with a firm kick to the buttocks off into turn 3.
There's Eric Wyland coming down to pit lane, giving up on his strategy.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's in real tough shape unless things fall very, very close to the way that he needs. In strategy
Ooh, Colin Famro did get into the wall in the back straightaway as Beckner was working his way past.
Got some damage on the front, the rear, the quarter panels, the side. He's had that thing dinged in all over the place tonight.
Looks like a short track.
It sure does. Take that to the dirt race without replacing a single panel on it. And Beckner is still a lap down to Justin Munsell, but not for long. There he goes, back up ahead and unlaps himself as David Weishart is now just 14 seconds behind Justin Munsell. We have about 35 laps to go.
Should be enough time to catch up to them. Yeah, again, I just can't imagine these guys. We could potentially see a flat. I feel like we could potentially see a flat from the guys near the front because it doesn't look like they've been saving this run at all. They've been just kind of running it out. So I wouldn't be surprised if you do see someone get a flat before the end of this race.
You're watching the Area Truck Series here at Richmond Raceway, round 16 of 17 in the season. This is the penultimate round of the season where we decide our top 4 playoff contenders for Nashville next week. That's what's coming up on the calendar. Fans, be sure to check out Area iRacing. Shop for merchandise to represent your favorite driver. Shop from our selection of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, stickers, and more. Use code SWAN for 10% off your order at checkout. Sunset earlier in the night. It is lights on, and away we go. As Crofty would say, Finian, but 35 laps remain. We're almost to the conclusion of this race. It's been pretty interesting tonight. Some strategy, some drama, a little bit of everything, but we're winding things down. The final 15 minutes or so of action. A little bit of 3 wide there with the 9 and the 4, but the driver that's chasing everything is David Weishart. He's trying to get his 4th win on the season, and he needs to run down Justin Munsell from 12 seconds back. He's getting back into some top 10 traffic and picking him up, laying him down, Finian.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not really any competition. He's got almost 50 lap fresher tires than the guys that he's catching at the moment. So he is catching them at a pretty quick rate now. The gap is under 12 seconds to the leaders here with over 30 laps to go. Curious to see what they're going to do, if they are going to do anything. And how about guys like James Scioli? He's out there 87 laps on this set of tires.
It's been a long time that he's been ripping those Goodyears around. You have to wonder. I mean, it's cool track temperatures. You have to wonder about the wear. They don't even know what the wear is going to be, basically, tonight with running that long on the set of tires. I guess he'll know a little bit from the first run, but you have to extrapolate a long way. And could that bring out a caution? Someone blowing a tire? I have not seen that in the service in a long time, but we certainly could get that.
I think definitely could, especially with what these guys are pushing. I don't know when Scioli is planning on coming in. I would hope relatively soon.
Justin Munsell, though, with 30 laps to go, should be set on fuel. Same with Fambro. Well, but Weishart continues to track him down. He's now just down to 10 seconds back. The gap per lap has dwindled to about 0.6 of a second, but that's still enough for Weishart to run him down. at that rate, though. But the tires are going to continue to wear on the 33. They probably reached a plateau on the 20 and the 18. So who knows how much slower they're going to get, but I don't think by much.
Yeah, again, it really depends on how, when the tires get more and more worn out, is it going to start getting them significantly slower, or as you mentioned, they kind of reached that plateau, and it's not going to get a whole lot slower until it blows. But the question is it going to blow, and when is it going to blow?
AJ Roderick putting some pressure on James Scioli in that 7. And in terms of the playoff picture, there is nobody in position to knock anybody out of the top 4. The top 4 are pretty well set at this stage. And think back to Jordan Hurley and that caution where he was ejected from the race. You have to wonder how the race would look different now if that didn't happen. Because if the 5 had done a different strategy, we might have a very different race on our hands right now.
Oh, absolutely, especially considering the pace he had, but unfortunately threw that away with trying to play the system, trying to game the system, and the admin said no siree. Not going to have a Michael Waltrip racing scenario.
They didn't take very long to decide that either. Yeah, they didn't take very long. There wasn't a lot of investigation. They were just like, yep, that was pretty obvious to us. And away he went. 8 seconds is all the gap wide. He's just absolutely crushing the lap times now. 0.6 a lap faster than Munsell. Munsell at a 23.6. Weishart at a 23.2. That was 0.4 quicker. 25 laps to go this time through.
Yeah, it looks like, it almost seems like Colin Farrow is chasing the 20 back down a little bit. Kind of hard to tell. He's maintained the distance just about a second or so. Looks like he might be chasing down. I'm sure for him, if you're going to try to push now, if you're going to try to push at any time, definitely going to want to start pushing now. But doesn't even have enough tire to push.
We'll see. I don't think they have a lot of tire to do much. They might not have enough tire to roll back on the truck at the end of this race. If I'm being honest, there'll be no tread left on it at all. Travis Beckner running Matthew Bell back down.
And Bell's slowly slipping back. Caution that he needed just doesn't seem like it's going to happen at this point.
Rafe Slate back on pit lane.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that is. He was there 28 laps ago. I think he might be calling it a night.
Yeah, that is calling it a night as Weishart goes by Cutler and moves back into the top 5. 7.9 seconds. He spent a little bit of time getting by those trucks. I'll tell you what, this is going to get pretty interesting here because Munsell's running 23.5s and hasn't really slowed down much. And Weishart's quickly approaching the 23.5 lap marker. He's at a 23.1. And we were running out of laps, Finney. There's only 8 minutes of racing left. So that is not a lot of time. That is a second per minute that you got to pull in.
He's going to try though. He's going to give up. He's not going to give up unless the truck gives up.
He doesn't need to. He doesn't need to win this race. No one really needs to win this race other than those that were below the cut line, that being Bell, Grant, Wineland, or the 5 of Jordan Hurley. Travis Beckner, pretty good shape. He was one of those drivers that was just really hoping that there wasn't any drama from one of those lower 4 drivers winning tonight, and that doesn't appear to be a realistic possibility at this stage. He just passed the one that was closest to the front.
Yeah, and it was funny. And so like he yelled on the radio. He was surprised Beckner caught him again. He's like, "You again?" As he went on by. 20
laps to go from Richmond. Gap is 7 seconds now. 7 minutes for 7 seconds. Funny how that works. That means that he'll have to make up 1 second in 1 minute, which is about 3 laps around here.
Yeah, it's the thing is though for Weishart that his times are really falling off. He's now running 23.3.
Look at this. Here comes Hartz. He's going to go by him. Brian Hartz passes David Weishart. Now we have a new driver trying to hunt down Justin Munsell, and it's the 3 of Ryan Hartz, who also has 3 wins on the season, who also is in good shape in the playoffs, but they're both fighting for their 4th win of the season, and now the 3 is going to be the locomotive of this train.
Yeah, Weishart is going to dry it off here and see if he can now try to, he's gone past Weishart. Can he catch up to the guys in front? Now about 6.5 seconds here as the laps start to wind down. He's really going to have to start picking up the pace, or hope that the guys in front start to drop off the pace.
We haven't had a caution in a long time either. The last time a caution flew, it was 9:37 on the East Coast. It is now 10:08, so it's been about a half hour since we've seen the yellow flag fly. Could we get another one of those to really mix things up here at the end?
Could be, never say never, especially as the laps start to wind down. We have guys on really old tires, tire blows, or they get just run into by some guy on fresher tires. Can see a caution come out, a late race caution, that can change up everything. I'm still amazed that James Kelly, it's been 103 laps since he's come down to pit lane, longest of anyone out there. I thought he would have come down by now, but I guess I would think he's got enough to make it.
Looking out of turn 2. Here comes your leader right here. And now your closest runner on fresher tires is Ryan Hartz here. That's how big the gap is. It's effectively a quarter of a lap or so, and Hartz is stuck in behind AJ Roderick here. James Scioli hits pit lane.
There he is, finally. I was going to say, look, I really didn't think he was able to make it, but I was a little surprised he stayed out this long. I think he was just hoping for caution.
5 seconds is the difference between Hartz and Munsell, and he has 15 laps to get there.
Lap prior to this, he made up 0.7 of a second. He was a little bit slower this time because of traffic, but that 3 still got some really solid pace. Gap now under 5 seconds.
Just needs to be chunking it away like that. And Munsell's got to know it's coming, so what can you do if you're Munsell? I mean, your saving tire isn't going to do anything at this stage. You just got to drive, but he's slowed down to 23 sevens now, which is the slowest we've seen anybody go. That's 1.3 seconds off his best lap of the race.
And the 3 Ryan Hartz has got some fresh track to work with as well. In fact, there's actually only 1 car between them at the moment, and that is Colin Fambro, who's in 2nd place.
Yeah, the best thing that Munsell can do is just put as many cars between him and Hartz as possible, and that just means driving hard. There's Fambro in the backdrop. About 1.5 seconds back, and then another 2.6 back is Hartz. 3.9 seconds. This is going to be an epic chase here to the end, Finney. I thought at one point it wasn't going to be possible, then I thought again it was going to be overly possible, and now it seems like it's going to be just possible.
It's gone back and forth quite a bit. I think with Ryan Hartz getting past, and he's got some significant pace compared to Weisart at this point in the run. So I definitely don't think Weiser was able to make it, but Hartz showing that it is definitely possible here. Still trying to catch up at about 0.5 second a lap.
Could Ryan Hartz get the week sweep here at Richmond Raceway potentially? Won last night in the Cup Series. It was his first such win of the season, and it came with lots of emotion after coming so close so many times. He had 3 second-place finishes in the Cup Series prior to the win last evening, and he won that in dominant fashion. Tonight he was quick, but strategy kind of took him out of it. He's just 3.5 seconds back now with 10 laps to go.
Yeah, and again, as far as the playoff picture, not really much has changed. As we mentioned before, Matthew Bell running in 9th, Eric Wineland in 12th, Garrett Grant in 13th, and obviously Jordan Hurley out, disqualified in 21st. So not a whole lot of change. We expect to see to the top 4. Just looking to see who can win this race here as the gap's under 3.5 seconds. Ryan Hartz still closing in.
Yeah, Justin had a pretty good last lap at a 23.48. That was even better, 23.407. So he's found a little bit of grip to stall some of that gain for Ryan Hartz. We're getting down to the very end here. 9 laps to go and 2.9 seconds. Even with the huge advantage, it's still a lot. That was only a 3/10 gain for Hartz last time by. That's not enough.
Hartz has got to get past Colin Fambro as well. Again, in theory, it should be technically easy, but I'm sure Colin Fambro is going to try to fight for that 2nd place as hard as he can.
What an interesting way to end this race. I did not think it was going to come down to this. Justin Munsell on the season. Where even is Justin Munsell on the season? Down in 30th.
Oof.
And his best finish. Oh, I thought we talked to him at Auto Club. It must have been in the Xfinity Series, Lodgebox, that we talked to him. His best finish was 8th twice, once at New Hampshire, once at Gateway. This would be a big deal for Justin Munsell. Here comes Hartz to the back of the 18, and he has to dispatch him very, very quickly.
It should be here. Got a great run out of turn 2. He's going to throw it to the inside in 3. Fambro's going to have really nothing to work with on the outside lane. So Hartz now filing up to 2nd place. Gap is 2.8 seconds here with just about 6 laps to go.
Well, he only gained a 10th last time by, so the time is running out. Could Justin Munsell steal a win in the Truck Series? His average finish this season? 19.7. Cody Carter and Matthew Bell having a pretty fierce fight back here for 7th.
Yeah, Cody Cutter is really loose on the top side. Was trying to power out of turn 2 to get around Matthew Bell. Bell still trying to hold on to 7th place.
And Munsell praying for no caution at this stage. needs this race to go green. He'll have a shot. Cutler, good run out of turn 2 behind the 9, but not enough to hang on to the spot. Roderick and Beckner side by side. 2.1 is the gap now, 2.0. Hartz was only 0.2 quicker.
Yeah, he's really starting to fall off here. Munsell is putting in some good laps because he's also caught some clean air. And no real traffic ahead of him at the moment here.
3 laps to go for Justin Munsell. This would be the upset of the season, to sneak out from pitting at lap 50 in a 150 lap race and drive away with it. Make no mistake, he is getting run down, but the tires have equalized on this long of a run. And Hartz is going to be left with little to no recourse here. 1.8 seconds, 2 laps to go for Justin Munsell.
He's got to just have to hope for no caution here and just hope he doesn't get a flat by any chance here in the later part of this race. He's done a great job. I think I actually just heard him clutch into turn 1 as well.
He can actually afford to save a little bit here. Justin Munsell comes out of turn number 4. He's going to see the flag he's been waiting all season to see while leading a race. White flag, 1 lap to go.
And now it doesn't matter. It's going to finish under green. He doesn't have to worry about that. Just going to make sure he makes it to the end. He's got no traffic ahead of him. No one pursuing him from behind. 1.5 seconds back to Hartz.
Well, it might be nighttime here in Richmond, Virginia, but for Justin Munsell, the Californian is going to be dreaming. Checkered flag. Justin Munsell hangs on and wins at Richmond Raceway for the Area Truck Series. Ryan Hartz second. Fambro, Weishart, AJ Roderick, and Beckner battle to the line, or they're battling to the line. And Beckner will come up a 10th short of Roderick for 5th.
And unfortunately for Matthew Bell, he's going to be disappointed. 7th place here after starting in P2. And he's definitely going to be eliminated from that performance, as well as Eric Wineland finishing back in 12th, Garrett Grant in 13th.
So the top 4 will not change. We'll show you your playoff competitors, but after a celebration for Justin Munsell. Best finish of 8th. How are you going to best it? With a win at Richmond. That was well-played strategy, and he drove great there at the end. He was starting to fall off there at the end, and he got back into the groove, started running faster, and here he is in victory lane.
Went to 100 laps on the dot since he pit. We talked about him pitting on lap 50, went all the way to lap 150, managed his tires, managed his fuel in order to get that done.
It probably feels like a million laps on the tires, probably feels like $1 million in the pocket right now for Justin Munsell. Let's have a look at your race results. Top of the board, the 20 of Justin Munsell. Ryan Hartz in the 3. Colin Fambro, David Weishart, and AJ Roderick, your top 5. Then Beckner, Bell, Cutler, Slaughter Jr., and Josh Taylor. Great run there by Josh Taylor as well. But big news there, of course, Matthew Bell unable to capitalize on the opportunity there tonight. Was not able to move on to the finals. But great effort, though. He gave it all he had, just needed the strategy to fall a different way.
Yeah, and you can see he even beat Brad Sauter by a few positions, but the thing was that gap between the cutoff drivers, there was a lot to overcome there. Unfortunately, wasn't able to overcome that because Slaughter had a decent night. Not the best of nights, but a decent night in 9th position. And looking on back, 11th on back, you have Eric Wineland, Garrett Grant just a bit shy out of the top 10 again. They pretty much needed a win coming into tonight. They're going to finish there. James Scioli coming in for a late pit stop. I'm sure Scioli came in a little bit early. He probably could have managed a solid finishing position around P5 or inside the top 10. Cochran, Senizak, Ryan, Slate, Titch, and Martin rounding out the top 10. You can see that only 16 drivers finished the race.
Yeah, that was there was some attrition there towards the end, but a couple of the drivers that got up into the mix, of course, Colin Fambro playing a similar strategy to the number 20. He's with us now in the number 18. Colin, welcome aboard. Tonight was an interesting night. You got some dents and bruises on your truck from a couple different areas, but P3 made the strategy work. Brought it home inside the top 5. Take us through your night.
Yeah, I was just going to try to get a decent start there, and I don't know what truck was backing up on the bottom, but bottled us all up. I think I got damage on the nose on that initial restart because somebody in the bottom line didn't go. So, I mean, it was not a good start to the night. But at that point, you just got to look at, well, how do I put myself in position? And I'm not out here racing for a championship, so that kind of made sense to pit right there, take tires, and just see how it would turn out.
Well, you almost were an upset tonight. Munsell managed to grab it, but Going on to Nashville, what's the strategy and goal for next week? Obviously, you got one more opportunity to win a race, not in the playoff picture, but does that change how you race next week at Nashville?
I think it'll change how I race the championship for guys. I mean, at least most of them. I mean, they earn the opportunity to race for a championship, and I'm still going to go there to try to win like I do any other week. But yeah, we'll just get there, see what kind of speed we have, and then go from there.
Colin Fambro, P3 tonight in the number 18 Chevy. Colin, thanks for chatting. We'll see you at Nashville.
Thanks.
Second place is Ryan Hartz, and he'll safely move on to the Championship 4 and have a shot at the championship. That was the big deal tonight, Ryan. Just wanted to make sure that none of those bottom 4 in those 8 won the race and shifted that cut line. If they didn't win, you guys were essentially set. And P2 tonight solidifies you're moving on. So didn't win the race. We're 1.6 seconds shy in that tracking down of Justin Munsell, but goal accomplished. You're going to be racing for a championship at Nashville.
Yeah, definitely goal accomplished. That was pretty fun. I just wish I had like 10 more laps or something, then I would have had a chance. But I was only catching him like 2 to 3 tenths a lap at the end of that. So I don't know. I kind of fell off more than I wanted to, but I'm glad I got a second out of this. Even after the win yesterday, I was wanting to go back to back. But yeah, strong run by this 3 team.
Well, won't quite be a weak sweep, Ryan, but obviously coming off your win last night, kind of riding an emotional high, and just one spot short tonight, but you're going to be running for a championship next week. So tell me about Nashville. How do you feel like you can do there, and do you think you can walk away with a championship trophy? Your performances this season have been as good as, if not better, than everyone else in that group. So how much of a shot do you have next week?
Like I said last night, Nashville's not typically my best track, but I've heard that from a lot of people. So last season we actually led, I think, most laps there in the truck series. So it was actually a really, really good run. I know Brad won. That's really what makes me nervous about next week, is that Brad's really good there. And I know this 3 team is going to be on top, and I've done this before. I did it last season. So if we just go into there with good practice and good pace and some confidence, I think either me or Travis have a great shot at the title and bring it home to JBR.
Ryan Hart's P2. We'll see you next week, Ryan. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
And for Justin Munsell, he played the strategy to perfection, and this race wouldn't have been 1 lap, 2 laps longer. Ryan Hartz was coming, Justin. Best finish on the season prior to tonight was 8th twice. Tonight you smash your own record and come out on top. Man, congratulations. Where did you come from? The strategy just played out perfectly in your favor, and you drove the wheels off your Toyota Tundra tonight to get that crumble Tundra in victory lane. Take us through your efforts this evening, and maybe the hair on the back of your neck standing up when you see that 3 closing in.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was it couldn't have worked out any better. I mean, obviously, right? Yeah, like you kind of pointed out, 8th place finish, best twice. Like, hasn't been a great season. I mean, I've had speed. I've run up in the top 10, top 5, but it usually ended up on the back of the hauler. So, I mean, getting this is really nice to kind of turn my season around and, give me some confidence into going into next season if I run trucks or if I run the Lodge Box series. But as far as the strategy goes, we got that caution, and I knew my mark was 100 laps, and that's how long you had on a pit cycle. And I saw nobody else pit, and I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Maybe they're just not paying attention. And for sure, of course, a race goes green, and I just bided my time, saved my tires, knowing I was going to have to do a full fuel run on it, and then just making sure I was good to go on gas. Once I got the word from AJ that Hartz got by him and saw that he was about 4 or 5 seconds away, I was like, well, time to turn on the burners. And luckily the time difference wasn't enough for him to catch me in enough time. Who knows with another few laps, though, for sure.
Well, Justin, congratulations, man. What a drive. P1 tonight, going to go out a winner this season. Nashville next week, so best of luck to you there. And I can't help but notice pink car winning on Valentine's Day, maybe a little extra luck there.
Yeah, something to it, right?
Maybe something to it. Justin, congratulations. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Finney, and wrapping things up here from Richmond Raceway. Great battles all night. We had a little bit of drama towards the end there, but it all ended with a feel-good story for Justin Munsell. California kid gets his first one of the season. Great race, and we've got one more this week, Thursday with the Lodgebox Series.
Yeah, so great racing here from Richmond with the strategy. You always like to see it get some good strategy calls played out, and especially love to see when you see the two different strategies converge on one another near the end. Some great racing. Unfortunately, wasn't able to see Hartz and Weiser come back all the way to get the lead, but saw them try their best over the course of the run. But as you mentioned, talking about Valentine's Day, heartbreak though for the 4 drivers who are going to be eliminated, which is the 4 drivers we saw coming in. Wineland, Grant, Bell, and Hurley will have to call their championship hopes to an end.
This graphic, minus the points numbers, is how it ended tonight. So Weishart, Hartz, Beckner, and Slaughter will move on to battle for the championship at Nashville next week. We'll see you on Thursday for the Area Lodgebox Series. Kyle Heyer, Finney DeCuna bringing you the action. We'll see you tomorrow for DC Region SCCA action from the mountain, Mount Panorama at Bathurst.